Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below, or if you even just want to know more about us, click on the links below. Now on to the episode.
Boom.
Hey.
What's going on, Ben Clatterbuck? Coffee Experts Club.
Good day, good day, good day.
Kicked you off this thing. We're like, hey, dude, like, if you can't show up, you're out of here. We're not.
He's like, one of our locations burned to the ground. Sorry, guys, I can't make it.
Oh, man, poor dude. Like, I love that we talk about it all the time. You know, like, don't get stuck behind the bar. And Drew's like, hey, I got to work bar this morning. Hey, listen, Coffee Experts, as you're listening, just know this. Nothing works 100% of the time, right? Like all of us are still learning and growing. Like we'll get off an episode like this and I'll have a sideline. You know, I'll do a level 10 meeting with Drew, right? Because we do weekly meetings with clients all the time, right? So even in our own business, we're doing weekly level 10 meetings where it's like looking at numbers, looking at goals, looking at what the projects we said we're going to get done this quarter, how are we triaging pain and issues that we're facing, right? We do that. We drink our own Kool-Aid, right? But there are times, you know, we'll get off these recordings and just be like, dude, we don't do that. We need to better start doing that. I mean, like, take your own freaking advice, you know? And so Coffee Experts, as you listen, just know, like, we're all growing, we're all learning. But the most important thing is, like, don't forget the principle and make sure 80-20, man, make sure 80% of the time you're doing the right things. Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, as long as you're aware of the problem, that's how you start, right?
Right.
I mean, sure. Like, yeah, I mean, every business owner, if every business owner, your guys themselves included, listened and did everything we talked about, I mean, you'd probably have 30 locations already, and you'd be just living in Belize,
right?
Like, these are all ideal worlds, but we know that real life comes into play, and sometimes you have a barista that says, "Hey, I'm not showing up," and you go, "Well, shoot, I don't have any other baristas. I guess that means I'm working on bar, or I close the business for the day. Which is worse? Yep. I guess I'll work on bar."
Yeah. No, I think so. As you listen, I think sometimes, you know, the name of the show can be misleading. Like, I think that some people pulling some anxiety around like Coffee Experts. That means I have to be expert at everything. No, it's that, no, nobody's doing this full time like you're doing this full time, right? Like, and we're coming here to give you, we're under the hood of a lot of different coffee shops, right? We do a lot of consulting. We do a lot of management of coffee shops. We do a lot of management. We're going to talk today about finance within kind of coffee shops and helping people make good decisions with their books and looking at their menus and looking at their P&Ls, like profit and loss statements, like looking at things that are key. And I think the most important thing is, like, don't deceive yourself into thinking everything's okay. Sometimes I think we get so busy in the day to day and we just like tell ourselves an old narrative, like, and we live by that narrative, but really challenge yourself with that. I hope in listening to podcasts like this, there are other great podcasts out there that are going to give you information. Like, take that to heart and ask yourself, like, what's an easy call to action I can come out of this with today? What's something I can take from this show today that I can go put into place? Like, we came off the show a couple times ago, and Drew and I just were at a place where we're like, dude, we didn't do hard good order for fall on holiday. Like, that was like our biggest one. We always pump up hard good orders for the holidays, dude. Like, people are in the mood. They want to buy your stuff. But Drew and I, we were building a location and we just could not afford to go deep into hard goods, even though we knew it would sell. We didn't have the cash to be able to do it. And all of us just coming away with, take good lessons, come up with an easy call to action that's achievable, that you can knock down and get done. That's the important thing.
As long as you know, you never know what you don't know. So listening helps you know.
Ben, today we're going to talk about something that's one that people need to listen to. I was talking to a client this morning and we were talking about their numbers. We were talking about their books. You know, we do a lot of that here at the Collab team where we come in alongside of coffee shops and we help them with their books, help them with identifying profit centers and like, where are things off and how are things lining up? And if you're interested in that, man, this is my bad. I forgot what we even called it, but we do have an ideal P&L of like, this is what your profit loss should look like. This is what it should work like. Do we just call it finance? Is that what we called it, Ben? Do you even remember?
No, I don't remember, but I'm sure we can put a page together called profitandloss.coffeeexpertsacademy.com and drop it there.
Profit and loss, like spelled out, profit and loss.
Yeah.
.coffeeexpertsacademy.com if you want our ideal P&L. And then we actually spend an episode of Coffee Experts Academy breaking down some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, going in a deeper look into all this stuff. So as we talk about numbers, this is one of those things I found most coffee shop owners like shrink back from. You would be so surprised. And if this is you, don't feel shame around it because there's so many people that are just like you that when it comes to the numbers, they get super insecure or they get super anxious or they're not even sure how to really read their profit and loss or they feel dumb about numbers or they haven't caught up their books. Like we've got clients when we step in, they haven't done their books in a year. they haven't reconciled statements in a year, that they're going off of bank account accounting, right? They're just watching how much money is in their bank account. And this is where I was talking about, like, memories of what they remember bills to be. And
Mhm.
that's how they're floating through each month. But they don't have a good, like a set of numbers that they're like, let's make some strategic decisions around these numbers this week. And do you want to talk about like numbers and strategic decisions?
Yeah, I mean, one that I think I've probably mentioned a few times, just because it's very prescient to where we are in the Pacific Northwest, is Washington State, and I think it probably Oregon falls in the same categories. Every year, we have set minimum wage increases
Right.
by not by an insignificant amount either. So if you weren't paying attention to that and paying attention to your numbers, paying attention to how much you're paying your employees versus how much you're charging for a drink, even over the last 3 years, like 3 years isn't a long time if you've been in business for say 7 to 8 years, you will have been losing out on a lot of revenue
Yep.
just to payroll because you haven't been paying attention to, okay, what are my payroll numbers versus what I'm charging per drink? If my minimum wage over the last 3 years has gone up by $1.50
Yep.
per employee and I have not raised prices on any of my drinks, you're just bleeding cash because you remember when I first hired those guys, I was paying them,
Yep.
15.50 an hour, and I was charging, $3 for Americano. That's how I've always run it. That's just how I'm used to
Yep.
doing it. Well, you're still charging, $2.50 for an Americano, except now you're paying $17 an hour for an employee. That is really going to hurt you. And if you, like you're saying, you're just doing that bank account accounting, you're always constantly anxious about why
Yep.
am I not making as much money as I remember I could have been making? It's because
Yep.
you're not paying attention to your finances, what's going on.
There's nothing more powerful. Like, listen, let me take some anxiety out of the room. We do this all the time for coffee shops. We set up your P&Ls specific to the way that you should be looking at your P&Ls, not just some rando accountant, not some random bookkeeping service that's doing P&Ls for the construction company up the street and random manufacturer down the way. Like, no, no, no. This is
Mhm.
coffee shop specific books, right? Like, this is the way your P&L should look. This is how you should break out your COGS, your cost of goods sold. This is the percentages you should be tracking when you look at your milk, when you look at your dry goods, when you look at your beans, when you look at your energy drink. Like, each one of those things broken out so you can see percentage wise, month over month, how's that thing traveling? And you can notice spikes, right?
Mhm.
Because most of us, right, we negotiate a rate when we start with a vendor and then we forget about it and we just assume they're honoring that, especially if we're not managing the process anymore. If we've committed AP, accounts payable, to a bookkeeper or somebody, a friend, a neighbor, a relative that's just paying your bills for, you're not thinking about that anymore. And you shouldn't be the one that's paying all your bills, right? That's fine. There's no shade or shame in that. But it's like you assume that the rate you were paying was what you negotiated some years
Mhm.
back. And commodities have really risen. I mean, beans, we've seen
Mhm.
beans go crazy the last year or so. Tariffs are involved in that. There's, some shortage probably in plants that involved in that. But like, bean prices coming back into the States have really risen. And you may be assuming that you're still paying a certain amount on things.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, your cost of goods have been steadily rising and your profit has been steadily shrinking. And if you're not doing anything about that, you're still making the same amount of money because you never adjusted your prices. Then what you're seeing is that your profit is lower and lower. I talked to a client just today who was like, I realized we finished 20K shallow this year, in the business for 2025, right? We finished $20,000 below what the expectation was. We had to infuse money into the business, right, as an owner. But I realized if I would just increase my signature drinks by 50 cents, we would have actually finished the year BK profitable. I
Mhm.
mean, that's crazy. Like, you had to
Mhm.
infuse money, but because you lost sight of COGS rising, therefore the need to, bump up prices, not even all your prices, just some of your prices, it actually would have more than covered your loss and given you a profitable year. That's crazy.
And that's one of the reasons why, I always recommend at least every 6 months, sit down, grab an invoice. Your shops, especially if you've been open 2 or 3 years, your shop's ordering, unless like you have a crazy boom and your business is just flying and you're growing exponentially every year, you're going to be ordering pretty consistent amounts. This is an easy one for any owner can do. A dry goods order for the week. Sit down and take that invoice and look at it compared to 6 months ago.
Yep.
If it's significantly higher, that tells you I should be paying attention to that percentage on my profit and loss line because I haven't been paying attention. What was costing me $1,200 a week in dry goods 6 months ago is now costing me, $1,650 in dry goods. And if you haven't been paying attention and you haven't been accounting for that in your menu pricing, you've just been giving away $450 essentially every week and not paying attention. So the easiest thing any owner can do right now is just look at your dry goods invoice now compared to 6 months ago. And if you see a difference and your business, your actual customers haven't changed that much, then you should immediately go, okay, what does my profit and loss look like over those last 6 months? Am I seeing that percentage line next to my COGS going 31%, 32%, 33%, 34%? Because every one of those percentage points is profit that's lost just because you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I think it's so true. And man, if you are not watching that, my encouragement is, what's the simple call to action, right? We talked about that a little bit at the beginning of the show. What's a simple call to action? When I listen to a show like this, Aaron, what should I be doing? Like, what can I do to help myself? I think that the best thing that you can do to help yourself is ask yourself, is there something that I have an insecurity about? Like, when was the last time I looked at this, right? And I would say choose your biggest ones first, right? Like, choose the ones that are most top of mind. Like Ben said, like dry goods is a huge, there's a huge one there. Beans is another huge one there, right? Milk is another huge one there. Look at those contracts and then ask yourself, have I made any changes that would actually adjust
Mhm.
how this would work? Have I tried to accommodate anything, or am I just taking like into stride that like things should be working instead of saying,
Mhm.
no, 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 how has this risen, right? What have I seen the rise in? And then how do I need to accommodate that? So I would say choose one of your vendors, like choose one that you feel like could be the biggest needle mover. Ask yourself, has pricing changed? And then think through, when was the last time I adjusted my menu? When was the last
Mhm.
time I did a price increase? And even if it was fairly recently, do you have some sort of consistent cadence of when you're actually increasing prices? Or do you just let years go by? I think,
Mhm.
Ben, you did a really interesting study for a client of ours where you looked at their drink prices, and she hadn't raised her prices in like 3 years. And she was pretty grossly under other market values. And it was really hurting their store.
Yeah, especially in the coffee world, because coffee owners can get lost in offering new products. You can get lost in keeping up with seasonal products, and you get so focused on, okay, Starbucks is coming out with this drink. I should probably come up with something similar to it. That's great, but again, if you're not watching what you're charging for that drink, Starbucks could come up with something cool, but they're charging $8.50 for it. If you're
Yep.
going to try and copy them and you're going to keep it in the same pricing scheme as the rest of yours, and you're still charging $4.50, it
Yep.
doesn't matter how cool the new thing is. It doesn't matter how great they are. You might get customers, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be losing money. So it really comes down to, what am I charging, and what are my costs? And on the flip side, I'm working with a client right now. I mean, this is all on the negative side, right? We don't want to lose. We don't want to miss out on profit. On the flip
Yeah.
side, if you want to look at maybe the positive side of the coin, you can't really give back to your employees very well if you don't know how much your business is making either, if you're not watching those numbers. So we have a
Yeah.
client who wants to set up a bonus structure for her employees. That's great.
Yeah.
She can't do that unless she knows how much money am I actually bringing in on a monthly basis to be able to give back to my employees. If it's just a gut check of, well, I think $100 sounds good, or I would really like to give, my managers maybe $200. That's awesome. I love that. But what does your P&L say that you actually can do that? And the
Right.
only way to do that is just say, hey, let's go down the line, look at all of your revenue coming in. Let's look at your COGS going out. Let's look at your payroll, and let's say, okay, $200 is what you want. Does the math work?
Yeah.
That's the positive side of it. Like, if you want to give back to your employees, you have to know, okay, can I financially do this? Because it might feel really good to give back until you do your bank account and accounting the next month, and you're like, oh shit, I don't have any money.
I think that having tight books, I know that nobody loves it. I know that this isn't the sexy topic. Like, nobody tunes into coffee experts and like, I hope they talk about books today. Like, nobody likes that. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I'm telling you this right now, a tight set of books, it really gives you the confidence to do so many things in your business. Like,
Mhm.
how much do we have to set aside for next location? Where could we find savings? I know that's where we found savings for Wes all those years ago for
Yep.
Roasters, of creating his own energy drink, because we're looking at the books and we're like, man, we are spending through the roof on Red Bull for what? We could make our own Red Bull equivalent. And literally, we dropped him down to a place where he was paying pennies on the dollar for his energy drink equivalent, tasted, I think, even better. And we built 2 locations off the savings he realized by just a clean call out of, wow, we're spending a lot of money on Red Bull. We've negotiated as best we can. Let's make up our own product. that we can substitute for it, realize a major savings. And that actually puts cash in the bank for me to multiply myself, for me to be able to create other locations. The beauty of opening new locations is all the pressure isn't on that one or on those two. Like the pressure can now be spread across multiple locations. And, you can, not every location you're going to open up is going to be a ringer, but there are locations. I know when we opened up King Kennedy, we were not anticipating what a beast that store would be.
Mhm.
And that store, man, brought in so much revenue. It was such a big revenue driver that it could carry other stores like Walla Walla. It could carry
Yep.
other stores like Carmichael for us back in the day. There are other stores that are great. You want all that location, right? All that frontage is just showing people, hey, we're anchored here. This is our community. We're investing in the Tri-Cities. That was Roaster's big claim to fame. That's how they grew to the 15 locations and were bought out by BlackRock. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it was the ascension determination of Wes of we're going to keep putting up storefronts, but not every storefront is going to be a ringer. But unless you continue to put up storefronts, it's impossible to know, could there be more revenue out there that we could be knocking down that actually would help lift the entire organization? But that decision came out of a P&L decision of we're paying too much for energy drink.
Mhm.
We see the percentage and the way that it's increased over the last set of years. We're going to decide instead of doing this, we're going to do this, create our own energy drink and realize incredible savings. And in year one savings alone, they were able to save enough money to open 2 new locations. That's crazy.
Mhm. I think you make a great point, and it's probably why a lot of coffee shop owners hate looking at their P&Ls, is because you go down those line items and you just go, oh God, oh my, I spent that much, oh geez. And so you just kind of want, like, if I don't look at it, then it's not then I'm not actually spending it, but you are. And
Yeah.
and as difficult as it is, that's the best spot to start. Go down those lines, and the first thing that makes you go, oh God, that's a great place to start. Of what can I do to make that number smaller? And if it's difficult to come up with those ideas, that's obviously what Coffee Experts Academy is for. We've come up with pretty much most of those ideas because we spent years going down those P&Ls going, oh
Yeah.
God, that energy drink line is horrible. God, that coffee bean line is horrible. How can I not pay 20,000?
Yeah.
And I think for most coffee shop owners, if you just take this little piece of advice of go down that P&L, what hurts, go to coffeeexpertsacademy.com, find that
Yeah.
episode, and we've worked through it at some point. That way you don't have to come up with the ideas yourself. You can just use the ideas that we've already come up with.
And I think that's the coolest thing I think about the academies are that it's not an expensive join. It's like a one-time price point. It's cheap to get in, and it's like 35 different episodes, beginner, intermediate, advanced. If you're a do-it-yourself kind of person, like that's the easiest price point. It's a one and done. You have all this content, and we give you a bunch of free tools that the big boys paid us for, right? We've worked
Mhm.
with some really big names. They funded us to create these tools, and now we're making them available to you. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason we put together the academy, is for the sake of that. So
Mhm.
coffeeexpertsacademy.com is a great place for that. But if you're also like, Aaron, I'm so freaking overwhelmed. I don't know where you think I'm going to find time to watch an episode on how to figure out my P&Ls. That's like, you might as well be asking me to learn Japanese and then go to Japan next month. Like, I can't do that. Like, it's too much. Then awesome. Tag us in. Like, reach out to us. You can, any of our any of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're seeing this, wherever you're listening to this, Spotify, Apple. Like, if you go to any of our social medias, Coffee Experts Academy, we would love to jump in and help you with that. We would love to, we picked up a client, just another coffee shop, just probably about a month ago, where dude hadn't done his books all of 2025, and he was so anxious about it. And we're like, hey, listen, why don't you let us come in, catch your books up, actually create your chart of accounts in a way that is set up for coffee shops, not the way that Jan, the accountant down the street, did it for all 10 businesses she does the books for. Let us set it up for you the way that it should be done. And then at the end of every month, we'll reconcile everything out. If you want us to take on paying people, we'll take on paying your vendors. If you want us to take on payroll, we'll take on payroll. Like, we can do whatever you want. But then at the end of every month, we'll actually give you a summary. Here's a clean P&L with a Loom video that's 2 or 3 minutes long, showing your eyes what you need to be looking at
Mhm.
and decisions that you need to make based upon your books, based upon what we're seeing from other clients. I think that it's just one of those like no-brainers of, if this isn't your realm of expertise, like, no stress, no big deal. Like, just reach out to people that you know, love, trust. If you're listening to this show, we've obviously earned your trust at some level. Like, let us come alongside you. So, easiest thing, like, free, right? Let's start with free. Profit and loss dot coffeeexpertsacademy.com. We'll just give you our
Yeah.
P&L and a quick tutorial. Like, we'll give you one of the episodes we talk about P&Ls from the academy. If you're a do-it-yourself and you're like, Aaron, I want to learn this for myself. Thank you for offering to help. I want to do this myself. Awesome. Coffeeexpertsacademy.com. It's a cheap entry point, and you get 35 episodes, beginner, intermediate, advanced, all things coffee. We take you through it all things ops. We talk about marketing. We talk about different things. And then if you're like, Aaron, man, will you just do it for me? The answer is we'd love to help you with that. We'd love to get in the ranks with you. We manage all kinds of coffee shops where we come in and help them with their finance, help them with their operational flow, help them even at times with like fixes and like finding a handyman in their area and managing that person for them with our systems of making sure things get fixed, things get maintenance right. So we want to be here to help. So Ben, you're always a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you for spending time with us today on Coffee Experts. Coffee Experts, thanks for giving us some time. I know there's a lot of things out there to listen to. We're honored that you hang out with us here every week, and we'll see you next week here on Coffee Experts Club.
Love it. See you guys.
See you guys.